What if I told you a rap superstar accused a Grammy-winning singer of sounding like a dead dog and drawing on her freckles? That's a simple tweet about Mercury retrograde escalated into a public feud involving the FBI, a congresswoman, and accusations of $100 million tour fraud. Here's how a misunderstanding spun into a career-defining meltdown.
Like, subscribe, thank you.
So it's mid-July 2025, and Nicki Minaj is online and she's angry, which isn't exactly a new thing. But this time she has a target, a guy named Terrence Punch Henderson. Now Punch is the president of Top Dog Entertainment, the label for artists like Kendrick Lamar, and more importantly for this story, SZA. And Nicki is going nuclear on him. She's on Twitter, now X, accusing Punch of being a bully, of harassing her for over a decade since 2012 for no reason at all. She claims it's all because she rejected some business ideas he had on more than one occasion. But she doesn't just leave it at that. She posts his photo for her millions of followers and calls him minus 30 million and tiny dick executive. The trigger for all this was apparently Punch promoting a new artist song called Broken Barbies, which Nicki took as a direct shot at her and her fan base, the Barbs. It's the kind of thin-skinned reaction people have come to expect, but no one saw what was coming next. Just minutes after Nicki's tirade against Punch goes live, SZA posts a tweet. She's literally on another continent at this point, in Paris on tour with Kendrick Lamar, living in a completely different time zone. Her tweet is simple, almost a throwaway thought. It says, Mercury retrograde. Don't take the bait. LOL, silly goose. And for anybody not chronically online, it's a generic comment about astrological chaos causing misunderstanding. SZA would later say that she wasn't even talking to or about anybody, she was just tweeting. But that didn't matter. Nicki saw it, and in her mind, that silly goose was aimed directly at her. She decided SZA was taking Punch's side, and she immediately rerouted all her fury from the label exec to the singer. And the response? Instant and brutal. Nicki tells SZA to go draw your freckles back on Bookie. She calls her a liar, liar, pants on fire, and then says she sounds like a fucking dead dog. She wasn't just attacking her character, she was going after her face, her voice, everything. She accused SZA of faking her entire look, claiming she draws on her own freckles and had plastic surgery to get what people think is a natural face. It turned into a complete public assassination attempt over a tweet that was almost certainly not about her. SZA, for her part, seems genuinely blindsided. She's in Paris, getting ready for a show, and suddenly she's being digitally mauled by one of the biggest rappers on the planet. She claps back, trying to shut it down, tweeting, I don't give a fuck about none of that weird shit you popping. She tries to put it all in perspective, for Nicki and for herself. She writes about how she gets bullied online by millions every single day, but then she steps out onto a stage in a packed stadium and feels real love from real people. She says her parents are healthy, she's more successful than she's ever been, and tells Nicki to get some fucking perspective and bark at the wall. It's a mix of defiance and bewilderment. She ends it by saying she's going to go back, calm, shy, and meek, and wishes everybody a blessed night. She's trying to extinguish the fire, but Nicki Minaj had brought gasoline. Nicki wasn't having any of it. She sees SZA's attempt to disengage and just replies with, shut up, ugly. The floodgates were open. Now it became about success, about numbers, about who was bigger. Nicki starts questioning SZA's entire career. She tweets, does SZA think she's more successful than me? LOL, you'll all catch me up, please. And then she goes on this rant saying if every song SZA ever made vanished, the music business wouldn't have even noticed. She claims she's been to countries where nobody has ever even heard of SZA. She asks, stadium? Did you look at the venues I played on my own headline festival tour out of the country last year? Bitch, have you ever headlined to 80K people? She attacks her musical talent, saying she uses auto-tune and is a yodeling fool who needs retuning. It's a full spectrum assault on SZA's art, fame, and her legitimacy as an artist. And this is where SZA decides to stop being calm and meek. She fires back with her own stats. She points out that her SOS tour grossed $100 million. She notes that this puts her in an elite club with Tina Turner, Rihanna, and Beyonce is one of the only black women to ever reach that number. She then drops another bomb. Her album, SOS, just became the first album to go diamond in under 3 years, and her previous album, CTRL, Control, is sitting at 7 times platinum. These aren't just boasts, they're verifiable, massive industry achievements. Turns out she's actually historically successful. But to Nicki, these numbers were just more fuel. She immediately accuses SZA of using bottled streams, implying her success is fake, that her numbers are inflated, illegitimate. She even criticizes SZA's business strategy, pointing out that she released Lana as a deluxe version of SOS specifically to help break records. It says this shows a lack of morals and integrity. The argument was not about music anymore. It was about who was playing the game dirtier. Nicki then labels SZA as fake girl's girl, claiming SZA secretly talks trash about other female artists like Beyonce, Rihanna, digging up old tweets as proof while pretending to be a supportive figure in public. So the whole thing is spiraling, but the history between them makes it even weirder. This isn't just two strangers fighting. SZA, under her birth name, Solana Rowe, literally co-wrote a lyric on Nicki's 2014 hit with Beyonce, Feeling Myself. SZA wrote the line, cooking up the bass, looking like a kilo. It's a line Nicki herself has rapped thousands of times. On top of that, SZA's manager, Punch, has said that back in 2020, Nicki had reached out for a feature film from SZA. They turned it down because SZA was deep in the zone recording SOS. So SZA decides to bring out the receipts. She posts a screenshot that appears to show Nicki's text request for collaboration. She writes, Nicki, you absolutely know my music and what I contribute because you asked for features twice to no response. And then reminds her that she rapped SZA's lyrics on Feeling Myself. She ends it with a cold, dismissive, LOL, you're having a moment. I'm not sure why, but be blessed. It was a checkmate move using Nicki's own actions against her. But the moment had moved past SZA. Nicki's rage needed a new target, and it found one in a guy named MacWop, a DJ associated with SZA's label TDE. Now MacWop had posted a video basically telling Nicki to chill out, saying something along the lines of relax before you get put in the blender. It was probably just dumb online trash talk, but Nicki treated it like a credible death threat from an organized crime syndicate. She reposts the video, publicly tags the FBI and CIA in her tweet. She asks for MacWop to be investigated right away, claiming that he has ties to other people who have been a part of very shady business. As if this wasn't bizarre enough, she also tags a Florida congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, who actually responds and publicly offers to help. A rap beef that started over a misread tweet about astrology has now escalated to involving federal law enforcement and the U.S. Congress. This all happens in a vacuum of Nicki's other feuds. This isn't a one-off event, it's a pattern. For years, she's had a high-profile, nasty beefs with pretty much every other major woman in music. Miley Cyrus, Taylor Swift, Mariah Carey, Lil' Kim, Remy Ma, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. The list is long and exhausting. Critics and fans alike started seeing this SZA attack as a real rivalry, but then also as a symptom of deep-seated insecurity, another instance of her lashing out at any woman, especially black women, who achieves a level of success that threatens her throne. The SZA feud was just the latest episode. At the same time, she was waging a whole other war against Roc Nation and its CEO, Desiree Perez, who she calls a federal rat who has done evil to black people. She was accusing Jay-Z of owing her hundreds of millions of dollars from the sale of Tidal and of sabotaging her career beyond the scenes. She was even blaming swatting incidents at her home on them. The whole spectacle started to feel less like a clash of titans and more like watching of a public breakdown. And it fed into a larger narrative that the Young Money dynasty, once the untouchable center of hip-hop with Drake, Lil Wayne, Nicki, was finally crashing and burning. Drake was coming off a bruising beef with Kendrick Lamar, Lil Wayne's album sales were struggling, and Nicki was spending her days in bizarre, unwinnable online fights. It was a messy public implosion. The industry, of course, loves to amplify drama between women, pushing this narrative that they just can't coexist, but this felt different. Felt less like a rivalry and more like a one-sided obsession. SZA was on a record-breaking tour, her albums were doing historic numbers, and she was largely just trying to stay out of all of it. Nicki was the one fanning the flames, tagging the FBI, ranting about freckles and bot farms. In the end, the feud did very little to SZA's career, which is already soaring, but for Nicki, it cemented a reputation for being perpetually at war. A brilliant artist, seemingly consumed by her own insecurities, forever battling phantoms while the world she once dominated moved on without her.